I've talked a lot about viewing things and perspective, and I think that's one of the main themes of my book, my main themes of my talk about the book, and about writing and about science, is that there's nothing in this world that is interesting or boring. It's just how you look at it. Perspective means, does anyone know what perspective means? Yes?
How you see things in your own opinion.
Yes, yes. On a drawing sense, it's the views of an object. In English, we say, look at it from my perspective. Look at it from a different perspective. No two people can see the same thing, exactly the same, because you can't stand in the same place at the same time as someone else. So everyone looks at something slightly differently. And it doesn't seem very important when you're looking at a piece of rock. But when you realise that wars, arguments, disagreements are always two people talking about the same thing, and they're seeing it differently. You never argue about one thing while someone else is talking about something else. That doesn't create an argument. You've got to talk about the same thing. And it's just the perspective, it's just how you see it. Has any, I won't ask you because I ask everyone, no one ever has one. A £2 coin. Just in case you think that I'm the only person who's interested in perspective, I thought I'd show you this. See, I find it interesting. And no one else seems to. It's a bit sad, really. I quite like it. It shows the 3 ages of man on it. This is the first £2 coin. I quite like it because it's got 2 different metals. It makes it hard to forge, makes it quite pretty. But what I really like about it is the first coin the English mint made that didn't make me feel small or stupid. And the reason for that is the first coin they bothered to write in English. Every coin previously wrote in Latin. And I don't understand why. I mean, unless it made them feel posh, it didn't make me feel very good because I can't read Latin. And I thought I lived in England where we speak English, not Latin. So they finally agreed. They didn't agree with me, but they wrote in English. It's the first coin they wrote in English, the first coin I can understand. So it's quite important to me. And I love what it says on the side, because they're talking about perspective. Anyone know what it says? I suspected not. Standing on the shoulders of giants. I think that's really impressive, but everyone else goes, huh? What does that mean? No one knows. I have to talk about Johnny Depp and Jack Sparrow before you understand. When he's stuck on a ship and he needs to get to land before the Kraken gets him, if he hasn't got his magical compass finger in the way and he's not guessing, how would you find land? What do you do when you're on a ship if you need to find land? You're Jack Sparrow. This chap's doing all the work. Anyone else? No, he hasn't got a... Well, compass doesn't tell you where land is. It only tells you where north is, doesn't it? And if you haven't got a map, if you're lost, what would you do?
Stand on the top of the boat to see if you can see the land.
Stand on the top of what?
Of the boat.
Stand on top of the pirate. Yeah, he's a giant, yeah. Yeah. Yes?
Use a telescope.
Use a telescope. That would help you see further. But unfortunately, at sea level, I think you only see something like half a mile. It's not very far. In fact, I don't think it's that far. I'll have to look that one up. Yes?
Could you use a stone?
They wouldn't tell you where land is. It's very simple. I'll give you a clue. You probably wouldn't do it yourself. You'd probably send the smallest person to do it. Where would you send them? Up top. Crow's nest. High as you can. What's the advantage of going up? You can see further. You can see wider. You get a better perspective. It's really important to get some height if you want to see a long way. And you can say that literally. You can also say it metaphorically, i.e. get up high, get some distance, you can get a better view, a better perspective on things. Now, a chap was talking about seeing further. He was actually talking about going further, doing more. He said, Sir Isaac Newton, there's not a lot of reading to do, this is the only bit I think. If I have seen further, it's by standing on the shoulders of giants. These people said, Mr. Isaac Newton, we're going to call you Sir Isaac Newton because you're brilliant. You've done so much for science, for the world. And he said, no, I didn't do much. I just took what other people did and then went on a little bit further. He stood on the shoulder of a giant and reached a little bit further. The giants that came before him. He wasn't talking about actual distance and actually seeing. He was just talking about doing something. Doing something that other people might have thought were a bit boring, that are not that important. And he moved it on a little bit and helped the world. What I like is no one says anything for a while, and then they go, yeah, that's right, you see. Have you looked at it? Have you figured it out?
I don't get it.
These people are messing with your perspective. How do you see things? Yeah. Just got it. Fantastic. Somebody wrote that into yeah, I mean, you need to give it away, otherwise it wouldn't be that interesting. You'd just be some guys. And then what I like is the old lady who's standing here going, what are those clowns doing laying on the pavement? Other people looking at them, not knowing what they're doing, and said, they're being really stupid. They're just messing about. But they can sit there, they've got, he probably hitched his bottom along the floor to get his legs up. And this chap, not even struggling to stay on that thing, he told me on for his life. He's only laying on the floor.